Solving quadratic equations by graphing. Today we are going to learn how to solve quadratic equations by graphing. First, it is important to know that the solution of a quadratic has multiple terms. It could be called the solution, the root or roots, zeros, or x-intercepts. All of those words are interchangeable. So, find the solution of the quadratic. It is the x-intercept. It is the point in which our parabola crosses the x-axis. How to solve? So you graph the parabola in form. It must be in standard form, vertex form, or intercept form to graph. Then you continue picking numbers for x and finding y until the parabola crosses the x-axis. Reflect that point to find the second x-intercept. Okay, let's try one. So we need to solve x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 0. And we'll be solving this by graphing. So I'm going to write this in standard form. So y equals x squared minus 4x plus 4. From here, I know that my y-intercept is my c. So my 4. I'm going to now find my axis of symmetry, which is x equals negative b over 2a. So I'm going to substitute in my b and my a. So negative 4 over 2 times 1. So my x will equal 2. So my axis of symmetry is x equals 2. So I need to find my y value. So I'm going to substitute in x for y. So y equals 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 4. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 4. So y will equal 0. So my vertex is at 2, 0. So I'm going to start graphing from here. So my axis of symmetry is at 2. My vertex is at 2, 0. My y-intercept is at 4. I'm going to mirror that point over my axis of symmetry and graph my parabola, or quadratic. So I know that my solution, or root, is at 2, because that is the point in which my graph crosses the x-axis. So this has one solution, or root, and it's going to be at the point 2. Okay, let's try another one. So I have, it says solve x squared plus 6x equals negative 8. So this is not in standard form or vertex form or intercept form. So I need to make it into that form. So this negative 8 needs to get moved over. In order to do that, I have to add 8. So I'm going to have y equals x squared plus 6x plus 8. Now it's in standard form. So my y-intercept is at 8. Now I need to find my axis of symmetry. So, axis of symmetry is x equals negative 6 over 2. Because 2 times 1 is 2. So my axis of symmetry is negative 3, or x equals negative 3. So I now need to find my vertex. So I'm going to substitute in negative 3 for x. So negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 plus 8. So y equals 9 minus 18 plus 8. 9 minus 18 is negative 9 plus 8. Y equals negative 1. So my vertex is at negative 3, negative 1. So I'm going to start graphing and see where we're at. Okay, let's graph our points. So I have my axis of symmetry at negative 3. I have my vertex at negative 3, negative 1. My x-intercept is at 8. Or my y-intercept is at 8. I'm sorry. So from here, from negative 1 all the way 8, that's a long way. I don't know where this parabola is going to cross at exactly. So I'm going to need to find an additional point. So I'm going to start picking x values out. So I need to find an additional point. So in order to do that, I'm going to substitute, I'm going to pick a number. I'm going to pick negative 2. 1 over. So I'm going to take y equals negative 2 squared plus 6 minus 2 times 2, negative 2 plus 8. So y, so with negative 2, my y is going to equal 0. Then I can reflect this across my axis of symmetry. I can also reflect this point across my axis of symmetry. So now I have my parabola and my two solutions. So my two solutions are -2 and -4. Remember that this can be interchanged with my roots. My roots are -2, -4, or they can be called zeros. My zeros are -2, -4. They are the x-intercepts. All right, let's try another method. Let's try solving in vertex form. So, in this form, my vertex is h, comma, k, where h is the opposite sign, so -3, and then my k is 8. Okay? Then I need to find my axis of symmetry, which is my x value of my vertex. So x equals -3. So let's graph from here and see what we have going on. So my axis of symmetry is at -3. And my vertex is at -3, 8. Okay, that is very far away from my x-intercept. So I just need to start picking points 1 over until I cross my x-axis. So I need to start finding additional points. And I'm going to choose x equals -2. Okay, so y equals -2 plus 3 squared plus 8. And that's going to equal 7. So that additional point is -2, 7. So that's here. I can mirror this point across. So not quite there yet, so let's find another additional point. And I'm going to try -1. X equals -1. So y would equal 4. So this point would be -1, 4. Let's plot this point. So I'm at -1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm getting there, but not quite yet. So let's try 0, our y-intercept. And that's going to equal -1. So at 0, I'm at -1. So I have now crossed my x-axis. I have two solutions, or two roots. When we are graphing to find the roots, you may not have an exact point. I know that my graph crosses between -1 and 0, and between -6 and -5. And that is my solution, or roots. Now let's find how to solve graphs in intercept form. So our equation here is in intercept form. So the first thing when we graph an intercept form, we find the x-intercepts. So we set our binomials equal to 0. So x minus 3 equals 0, or our x values. And then x plus 4 equals 0. Add 3, subtract 4. So x equals 3 and x equals negative 4. Okay, now let's find our axis of symmetry. So I'm going to take 3 minus 4 and divide it by 2. It's the halfway point. So our axis of symmetry is negative 1/2. So x equals negative 0.5. Okay, now I need to find my vertex. So I'm going to substitute negative 0.5 into my equation. So 2 times negative 0.5 minus 3 and negative 0.5 plus 4, and that would be 2 times negative 3.5 times 3.5, and that's going to equal negative 24.5. So my vertex is at negative 0.5 and negative 24.5. So I'm going to now graph so my axis of symmetry is at negative 0.5. Okay, my x-intercepts are 3 and negative 4. And my vertex is at, I'm going to make a point down here, negative 0.5 and negative 24.5. We already have our solutions because they give you the x-intercepts. So our two solutions, or roots, or zeros, are negative 4 and 3. So the last thing that can happen is if you graph your equation and it does not cross the x-axis. If it doesn't cross the x-axis, then it has no solution. So again, if it doesn't cross the x-axis, then it doesn't have a solution. So it's no solution.